And that's why she's going to be doing something a little different. She's going to speak to us, and then we're going to do a round robin. And with the round robin, we're going to go around the room, and people can evaluate her, give her an evaluation. The reason we're doing this is because JoJo is going to represent our club in the club contest on Saturday. So this is going to give her an opportunity to practice her speech and get a little feedback. So that's why she is our last speaker today, and that's why we're going to each get an opportunity to evaluate her. Any questions? Okay. The title of JoJo's speech is Mike and Pete. Mike and Pete. JoJo now.
Warren Buffett said, "Someone is standing in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long, long time ago." Which begs the question, what are we planting today for future generations? Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Over 20 years ago, my husband Randy and I and our 2 small children were stranded out of gas on a scarcely traveled road in the middle of the Arizona desert. 25 miles off the highway we left in search of a gas station. From where we stood, we could see no gas station, no structure or no shade to shelter us from the 118 degrees and climbing temperatures, where we needed to stand outside in the hopes that someone would rescue us. It would be 15 minutes before the first car arrived on the horizon. We immediately raised our hands and screamed for help, and in 3 seconds, they drove right past us without so much as even looking in our direction. That would be the first of 5 who would do the same. Over the next hour, that would dampen our spirits while the hot sun dampened our clothes. And in those 5 cars, one was even a highway patrol officer. And just like car number 1, they went right past us without even looking in our direction. And then appeared on the horizon a big white truck with an even bigger patio boat. And before we could even get in position or start to repeat those cries for help, they were already slowing down and pulling up behind us. And out popped Mike and Pete, 2 of the nicest guys you could ever want to meet should you ever be stranded in the Arizona desert, in 118-degree temperature with 2 screaming kids and a husband you want to strangle because you told him. That sign back there said there's no gas for 50 miles. But I digress. Out popped Mike and Pete, 2 fishermen. They'd been fishing for 7 days. They were hot, tired, sunburned, and hungry, and they were only halfway home. But they pulled over to help us. Mike says, "There's an old tin can in the back of the truck and plenty of gas in that boat. If you can get it out, you can take as much as you need." And when my husband got busy doing that, Mike and Pete handed out the bottles of water, and they told us some of their fishing tales. It wasn't long before our car was happily idling on the side of the road, ready to take off for the adventure. But before we did, we turned to thank Mike and Pete. I reached out to hug him, and my husband reached for his wallet. While they accepted the hugs, they waved off the offer to pay by saying, "Don't pay us, pay it forward. And be sure to tell them, Mike and Pete sent you." It wasn't long before we had an opportunity to return that favor. Because soon we had come across a young group of people, three students who were traveling all the way over here from Germany in a rented car. They could speak English, they could understand English, but they couldn't read the instructions on how to change a flat tire. So my husband said, Don't worry, Mike and Pete sent us. And while he repaired that tire, he told them the story of Mike and Pete. And soon, the tire was fixed, and the young man reached for his wallet, to which my husband said, "Don't pay us, pay it forward, and be sure to tell him Mike and Pete sent you." And that, my friends, was just the beginning. Since that day, countless acts of kindness have been initiated by my immediate family, my extended family, and our friends, who were all inspired by the kindness of Mike and Pete. And in a world that can be unkind at times, it truly is the seeds of kindness that make the world a better place today and tomorrow. And to rephrase Mr. Buffett's quote, someone is experiencing the warmth of kindness today because 20 years ago, two hot, tired, sunburned, and hungry fishermen put their foot on the brake instead of the gas and ignited a revolution of kindness. So the next time you see someone who needs a little help, slow down, be willing to veer off your path, offer them what you can, and take nothing for return, but be sure to tell them Mike and Pete sent you. Mr.